half-price burger night. So while you do this next interview, I may order up a burger for me and our guest.
Yeah, but new menu too here, but half-price burgers are always good for everybody.
Great stuff. Why don't you do the honors?
Absolutely. So we have our the first women's lacrosse coach in the history of Virginia Commonwealth University, Jen O'Brien. Jen, welcome to the program. So, Jen, let's get right to it. You went to UMBC. How many people refer to UMBC to you as you made a bad choice?
Or you must be crazy.
Yep,
lots of them. Lots of them.
Wow.
I say you made the best choice. That's what I say.
Not anymore. Not anymore. We'll
Very
have to come up with
true.
something else,
Very
right?
true.
Well, it's really a really big deal. Obviously, we added the women's lacrosse program, went through the process, and brought you here last spring. And how many people say to you, so how's the team going right now?
A lot. And I don't know if they're referring to the club team or, what we're going to be doing in 2 years, but they do. That's a common question.
But you had a big weekend this past weekend.
Yes. We had our 8 committed seniors who will be in next fall. They came in for their official visit with their families, and they completely hit it off. They had a great time. We have an awesome group. They got along really well, which can be tough with
Absolutely.
8 girls.
Yep.
So it was nice to see that, and I'm really excited. Re-energized me for sure.
When you started to go through this process, so, we're recruiting this year. Mm-hmm. We will play a club schedule next year, and then play a varsity schedule in the spring of 2016. When you started going through this process, what were you looking for in our recruits and the young women you were recruiting? It's a tough one, but because they're not going to really play a varsity schedule next year. I mean, what were you looking for in them to get this whole thing going?
I think competitors, and that's something I know you told me when I came for my interview,
Good answer.
is that you want to win, and I wanted to bring in winners and people who wanted in their first year to win an A10 conference championship, which we can, and that was put out there from the beginning. And I think that they really do have this first year to grow, and they might be a little bit more immature, young in other ways. Yep. So this first year is going to be really good for them.
They're eager.
Yes, they are.
They're eager. There's no two ways about that.
No, they're not. And I think having this first year that it's going to kind of hit them. So fall of 2015, they're going to be ready to go.
Well, and taking over the club team as well, and coaching the club team, and having some of our freshmen play with the club team, what kind of dynamic does that present for you as a coach?
It'll be interesting. I think we have a great core on the club team that are excited to work with our recruiting student athletes, because those recruited players will absolutely bring up the level of play, and they're eager as well. They want to compete. They were just as excited as the local recruits that we were going to go varsity. Right. So they're trying to show off and prove to me every day that they can make the team.
Well, you talk about local recruits. When we added this program, a big part of it was this is geographically probably a really good place for this, right? Mm-hmm. So how much have you looked at the state of Virginia as this is a really good recruiting hotbed for us?
It is, and my goal is to not let the talent leave the state, and I think we can do that.
And don't let them go to Charlotte either, 'cause they're really, let's not let that happen.
No, we'll keep them just in Richmond.
Okay, good. But that's going to be a big part of it. I mean, as you look at it in recruiting, young women to come play here and go to school here, keeping them home is a big deal.
It is, and I stayed close to home, so it's easy for me when I'm talking to these girls that you can really make it as close or as far away as you want to. It's nice having the perk of going home and doing your laundry and getting nice meals, but you don't need to go home every weekend.
No.
Are you seeing the geographic footprint for lacrosse expand?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, just in the 8 we have coming in next year, we have Florida, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, all over the East Coast, and then talking to girls in Colorado and Texas and all the places like that. So it absolutely is, and it's an exciting time.
What drew you to VCU, and what in that is going to draw them to VCU?
For me, it's the people, and that shines through every time I have a recruit on campus. Yeah. They see the friendly people, throughout the city, throughout the campus, the support that they will receive, through the athletic department and within, the university, and that far and away blows everybody away every time they come here.
Well, and you had your first recruiting official visit the weekend or whatever. What were some of the questions you got from the kids as they were on campus? Or maybe even the parents probably asked better questions.
Yeah, they want to know how safe it is, for sure. Right off the top. Yep. And I was glad we had some of the members from the other programs here that were able to speak to that. They want to know about classes and, if the professors are going to be mean, if they miss for traveling.
All the professors are going to be mean.
Yep, and that's what I tell them. Just, at least set their expectations low from the start. start.
That's right. Well, you talk about our department, and we talk all the time about that we're all a team. And,
Exactly.
how much of the other coaches, we've had a bunch of the coaches on the show, and from a guy like Coach Costin, who's been here since the early 1900s, to coaches who have just gotten here. I mean, like how much has that helped you get adjusted?
They've been unbelievable. From setting up even just plans for the official visit, or I think especially the female teams that are at VCU, they've set the bar high, and I've seen what they've done. The new coaches in their first year, and the coaches that are established, they work hard, and that's something I need to keep up with, and I'm excited to do that.
And you have Pat Stauffer, who was our field hockey coach for a long time as your supervisor, and that's got to help a lot because Pat's got a lot of contacts as well.
Yes, and I think she might even be more excited than I am that when lacrosse is going to be here. She is super excited. She's wonderful with the student athletes. So yeah, I'm excited to be working with her.
So this spring,
yes,
you don't have this has been going to be the first spring in a long time that you won't be putting the ball in the air and ready to go.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? I mean, I would assume you're going to be out recruiting a little bit.
Yes.
But what are you going to be doing?
Definitely recruiting, and it's going to be awesome. This is going to be one of the first springs in 5 years that I'm going to be getting out to high school games because it doesn't conflict with the spring practice times.
Yep.
So that's a huge plus. Flying wherever I can to see these high school games.
Yep.
And working with the club team, they keep me on my toes. So
That's
it'll be
good.
good spending some time with them as well.
And I'm sure it's been a big adjustment for them to have a coach who has a varsity level expectation for them. And I'm sure some of them bristled against it, but some of them probably said, "This is pretty great."
They are sponges. I see it every single day. They're eager, they're nodding, they're smiling, they're enjoying it, and they're learning. And I hope improving every single day.
You hope.
I hope. We'll see. I have a year and a half with them, so if I'm not doing my job if they don't get better.
Right. And what type of teams are you playing next year, club-wise? Like, how far away will you go and all that?
We'll stick pretty local next year, but the plan is in the fall to get to some fall tournaments, against potentially some Division 1, 2, and 3 opponents. George Mason has a really great fall tournament, and so hit those local teams, and I know they're going to want to test this out before we go into the A10 and see what we have. So yeah, there's definitely some options.
And so if you look, we have next year's club, and the following year's our first varsity season. You look ahead 5 years.
Yes.
And you could put the crystal ball in and say, this is success right here in 5 years. What does it look like?
Reigning A10 champions for sure. Reigning a couple years. And because that gets us to the NCAA tournament, and so that's an easy goal every year is shooting for that. I think it's 1,000% doable, and then going into further and further, deeper and deeper each year in the NCAA tournament.
Great stuff. Jan, we're really excited for you. And thanks so much for coming on the show.
Absolutely. Anytime. Thank you, guys.
Great stuff.
Thanks,
Let's take a quick time out. When we come back, we're going to take a look back at Super Bowl media coverage and look ahead to the